fell in love with Eric Rohmer a few years ago, harder than I have with any other filmmaker before. I watched his 6 Moral Tales first, a sextet of films that revolve around a person with a moral decision or choice to make. And making that decision will effectively change him, and not making the decision will keep everything the same. These are not world-ending choices, but real-world, life-altering choices. Like, should a devout Catholic man sleep with this forward woman? Should a soon-to-be married man flirt with a younger girl? Should this womanizer stop bugging this poor young girl? Should a man have an affair with a past lover? Things like that. I'm getting hot already. His films moving forward all deal with the same level of street-level entitled problems with complicated human beings that can't be decoded. Yet, if we knew them, we'd know exactly what they would do. They are a study of human behavior in its most stripped-back sort of a way. It's more than easy to relate to them, and that's why perhaps one of his last films and most modern is my favorite of his. A Summer's Tale was written and directed by Eric Rohmer and was released in 1996.
0-1-3, première.
Along with his quadrilogy of Seasons films, and this one obviously being centered around the summer season. It stars Melville Pappaud, Amanda Langlet, Gwenelle Simon, and Aurelia Nolan. It's photographed beautifully by Diane Barretier. The story follows Gaspard, a recent university graduate on his summer holiday in a seaside French town, where he sparks a friendship with Margot, but he's waiting for his somewhat girlfriend Lena to arrive. But this was the 90s. He's waiting on a time and date they mentioned off the cuff and in person. He's got a telephone in the room he's staying, and they have written letters, but communication is nothing like what we have today. He even starts a fling with the more outgoing and principled Soline while waiting on Lena, telling her about his trip to a spot along the coast at the end of his holiday. He can't commit to Soline though. He asks Margot to come along, but she calls him a friend right before they kiss. Things complicate when Lena does show up, and now Gaspard is face to face with not one, but 3 options of choice. And it's strictly an option. That's how Rohmer writes it for Gaspard. These women have become options for him. The way that Melville plays it, we know this is a road less traveled for him. He prefers to stay in, play guitar alone rather than go out. He's awkward and shy. But is he completely innocent? What I love about A Summer's Tale is essentially why I love Eric Rohmer. I love how effortlessly his characters start talking about psychology and philosophy by revealing how they see the world. There are these simple, everyday interactions with interesting characters. Like here, when they meet the musician, or when Lena and Gaspard have dinner here. Or like when Gaspard and Soline get walked in on. The way Rohmer shoots these is not flashy at all. It's such an objective kind of case study, so it's completely up to the audience to react naturally. The second time I watched this, I was laughing in so many scenes, like when they get walked in on. A modern flick would punch up the comedy so much that it would completely take away from the film that they are making here. At first glance, you might gain sympathy for Gaspard, as I did. And the sympathy may remain till the end, but we become frustrated with his indecisiveness. He needs to grow deeply before connecting with these women, because these women all seem pretty into him. Even though it's never said, I believe Gaspard is not looking for any commitment. Maybe he just wants sex. Nothing wrong with that, but when these women, like Margot, see him as a friend first, or like Soline, that has a set of principles she holds, waiting to sleep with people that way she doesn't get taken advantage of. Then there's his somewhat girlfriend Lena, who is hot and cold as she describes it. And the way Gaspard describes her to Margot, it seems they barely know one another, but yet he is calling her his ideal type and literally went on the trip to meet her here. And when she finally arrives, it's a nice sweet meeting, but immediately Gaspard starts questioning her, assuming they are more than just a casual fling. Rewatches of these films are always warranted because I'm not fluent in French. It's hard to watch the actors' emotions when you are so focused on the subtitles. But watch it over and over, these actors do such a fine job giving the bare minimum not to come off as monotone but more natural. Little pops of a smile or other nuanced emotions go a long way to show what the character is thinking underneath. And that's what Rohmer is more interested in. Not really what's explicitly said, but the subtext and the endless possibilities in their minds. It's not a flashy movie, but the blocking and shots still leave room for some great images like these. The flirty leg. The looks of love here. These beautiful long takes on the beach. Unfiltered and raw, begging us to tear the characters apart. And it's not even that serious of a movie. It really is just a nice, easy breezy summer film. You can tear them apart, or you can just sit there and enjoy it. It's a French holiday. What's not to enjoy? The inability to maintain a steady romantic relationship could not be more relatable in today's world. Even in France nearly 30 years ago, where everything looks picture perfect and ideal, people can't get over themselves and commit to being in a partnership. It's not until they realize their shortcomings, which typically come to us when we are older and probably is always a work in progress in our life, that a true pair can emerge. Our boy, not unlike a certain Chalamet, wants to find love. He's a lonely guy, but in the end, throws it all away for a recorder. In the build-up to the end, there is an actual degree of suspense and tension going on. The days are counting down to his going back home. But before that, this idyllic trip to the coast with his future wife is dwindling down, and he shows every sign of commitment to the woman he's speaking to, but then never does. This is Rohmer's most accessible film, if you ask me. The fun, breezy, and intelligent conversations, colorful scenery, the book-ended diary entry story structure. The French being too polite to directly call anyone out is a human flaw, but they recognize free will a bit differently over there. They're a bit more understanding that everyone comes with their own baggage and faults. So who the hell are you to tell anyone differently? If this is your first time hearing of Eric Rohmer, please do yourself a favor and check out his work. A lot of his films are actually streaming on Max right now, and typically are always on the Criterion channel, but don't Please don't let the French-spoken older films dissuade you. Go in with an open mind and learn about yourself through people immortalized by the screen. And if you are a fan of Rohmer, I'm curious about what other films you like of his and what you like about this one too. So this has been Andrew, so I'm gonna go. See ya.